Hi, I'm Ila Basmati, and today I'm going to speak, I'll talk about Martin Wagner, but it's a transversal look. I'm going to talk also about the right of the title is, it's necessary to read, the right of the modern city of the less favored classes, the influence of Bauhaus in the architecture. Well, I begin. At the beginning, I'm going to talk about the Bauhaus and after of Martin Wagner. The Bauhaus was created at a time when the German spirit passed from expressionism to a new objectivism. The Bauhaus, created by Walter Gropius in Weimar, operate between 1919 and 1933. It combined craft and fine arts, and it's famous for his design. Houses and under construction is the name in German, the translation to English, despite its name and the fact that it is founded and later director architect, but the Bauhaus didn't have an architect department during the early times, the early years. His intention is design for industry, bringing together all the arts, including architecture. Well, in a short time, it became a trend, and some of the most influential fashionable Bauhaus influential of the world. Currents in a modern design, they create the design, architecture and education, architecture education. Well, it takes place in Weimar from 1919 to 1925, the South from 1925 to 1932, and Berlin from the 1932 to 1933, with Walter Gropius at the beginning from 1919 to 1928. Hans Meyer was the so associated with Gropius, but Hans Meyer is the next director from 1928 to 1913, and Louis van der Rohe 1913 to 1933. This year, the school is closed by the Nazis, calling it communist. Well, the Nazis closed all. Well, the Bauhaus style, known all the international style, is characterized by the absence of ornamentation and the harmony between function and design. Its most important influence is modernism, a cultural movement that whose origin date back to 1880, due to his simplified form, rationality and functionality. My English I try to improve, but it's complicated. Well, there is an idea that mass production support the individual artistic spirit. The acceptance of modern design in everyday life is the subject, and ad campaigns, well-attended public display, film, and a lot of things. Sometimes fires, public debate, etc. Well, that's the Bauhaus has a great impact on the architecture, on the simplification, on form and functionality, the absence of ornaments, geometry, and the use of basic materials such as concrete, glass, and steel in neutral tone and natural finished finishes. After Germany, Tel Aviv, Tel Aviv, Israel is the city with the most Bauhaus architecture in the world, where the emblematic building of the Bauhaus school in the city of Dessau stands. Well, a whole group of working architects like Eric Mendelssohn, Bruno Taut. I talk about in the past. I talked of Bruno Taut in Spanish. In the future, another time I'll explain Bruno Taut in English. And Hans Polsig reject extravagant experimentation and prefer rational, functional, and sometimes standardized building. Ernst May, Bruno Taut, and Martin Wagner. Martin Wagner is our main character today. Among other, built large block of flats in Frankfurt and Berlin. Martin Wagner is an architect and urban planner attached to Expressionism. He was born in Königsberg, 1885, and died in Cambridge, North America, United States, Massachusetts, May 28th, 1957. Well, is very famous, he's known for his social housing project in Innerwald, Berlin. He studied at the Technical University of Berlin in Germany's Technik Universität Berlin, and worked as a draftsman in the planning office of Hermann Mutesius. The other day I talked about Hermann Mutesius that go to England at the embassy to work, and he invests about art and craft. Well, before being appointed in 1918 in the chair of construction of the city of Schönberg, currently with the city of Berlin. Now is inside. Since 1925, he has been Berlin's main planner, the first, building most of Berlin Siedlungen. In Germany, Siedlungen is social buildings for people who no money. but explain. Well, Siedlungen, recognized by UNESCO as a World Heritage Site. Well, in 1924, found the Gerhard Building Society, which is responsible for 70% of Berlin home built from 1924 to 1933. His roles parallels that of Ernst May in Frankfurt and Main. Well, he is leading as a large-scale effort to standardize construction requirements, streamline construction practice, organize industrial supplies and union, all in a common effort for mass production of housing for the working class. Well, a fantastic, an incredible architect in this time and in Germany. Bruno Taut, Martin Wagner, Mies van der Rohe, Walter Gropius. Well, Martin Wagner, along with Bruno Taut, is responsible of thousands of homes built in around Berlin, including the Siedlung. Siedlung is a house for poor people, more or less. Siedlung Horror in German. Named for his shape, and the Siedlung for Uncle Tom's Cabin, named after a local restaurant with the same name. Today, this type of housing represents half, for example, in UK, half of the rental market, along with succeed is providing place to live for always. Berlin and Amsterdam are, has been the capital with has created building for the worker class. Well, along with the success is providing places to live for low-income families. This system also leads to the creation of suburban ghettos. There, the strata without means of the population, mostly of immigrant origins with massive unemployment, are isolated from the urban center, sometimes leading to conflict with violence and social tension. Well, this Sildon settlement is created by the demand for the terrible living condition of the pre-war urban landlords. The right to decent housing is included in the Weimar Constitution, but a few houses are built until economic stability is achieved, in which the inhabitant does have access to light, air, and sound. Martin Wagner, well, the hero, during his study at the Berlin and Dresden High School, 1885-1957, worked between 1905 and 1910 for Hermann Muthesius. In 1917, he wrote a memorandum of the organization of public housing and focused his discourse on the creation of housing state with the aim of replacing the Dudley apartment block with the landscape communes pleasant for the inhabitant. Well, from 1920 as Councillor for the Urban Planning for Schönberg. 1926-1933 is Councillor for Urban Planning in Berlin. 1929 publishes the magazine Das Neue Berlin, the New Berlin in English, with other architect, other banner. Well, today is a classic. 1918-1921 with Bruno Taut, he built the Lindenhof housing estate, and between 1925-1930 the Brit housing estate, also in Berlin. The complex in a block of flats that's open in the shape of horses around pan. Well, at the rear, the houses are closed with the red and blue facade, or fachada in Spanish, forming rhomboid motifs. This building contrasts with those of the neighboring, more classic, conservative style urbanization. Martin Wagner participated with other architects in the urbanization of Uncle Tom's cabins in Berlin, 1926-1931, and between the 1929-1930, the project of the beach is a very famous of Lake Van in Berlin. 1929 and 1913, in collaboration with Hans Poelzig, it makes the House of Radio of the ground of the Berlin Trade Fair. With the advent of Nazism, and because of his socialist militancy, he was social democracy. In German, there are tradition. He was expelled from the Dutch Wehrmacht. In 1933, left the country. He stayed in Turkey for 3 years and immigrated to North America, United States, where he worked as a professor at the University of Cambridge. In 1938, appointment professor at the Graduate School of Design in Har until his retirement in 1951. 1944 obtained the American citizenship. His son, Bernard Wagner, is an architect too. Well, that's all. Thanks so much for all pay attention, and until tomorrow. See you. Bye.